Should we pursue money or happiness in our lives? That's the age-old question. Your generation, the millennial generation, is famous for its independent thinking. See, in the old days, like me, young men and women would follow the path that was laid out for them by society. But the millennial generation broke new ground for themselves and for all generations that follow. Millennials don't yield to tradition. They don't accept stereotypes, and they don't conform to the traditional roles that government and institutions offer to them. 50 years ago, Bruce Lee may have been the first millennial, at least in spirit, when he said, "I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine." So you have the freedom to create your own world, to create your own future. And that's a freedom that your parents never really had in their younger years. So the question is, with all this freedom, what should you pursue in your life? Money, career, recognition, or happiness and relationships and inner peace? I know you've never heard of a guy named Howard Thurman, right? But I think you'll be interested in his life. Howard Thurman was born in 1899, and he was a very, very poor family in Florida. And as a child growing up, he was influenced by his maternal grandmother. Every night, his grandmother would ask him to pick up a book and read the stories to her, and they would talk for hours past midnight, every night. Howard Thurman's grandmother couldn't read because she had been born and raised as a slave on a plantation. But despite her very difficult upbringing, his grandmother raised him right. And what does it mean when you say to raise a child right? That's something we don't really talk about in our modern world, but we should. See, all those late night talks past midnight were about the importance of character, values, and principles. And I want to get more specific when I say that. Here's what I'm talking about: character, values, and principles. Personal responsibility, honesty, gratitude and appreciation, respect for your fellow human being, compassion for those who are suffering, helping other people whenever we can, justice, equality. Those were the values and the principles that Howard Thurman was raised on. And frankly, we should all take that into our lives. Well, Howard Thurman went on to become a stellar student. He graduated at the top of his class at Morehouse College in Atlanta, and he went on to receive his doctorate in theology. Well, in 1953, Dr. Thurman was invited to be a professor at the Boston University School of Theology, and it was here at Boston University that Howard Thurman met a very special young student. That student was Martin Luther King Jr., who was studying for his doctorate in theology. And Howard Thurman quickly became Dr. King's mentor. Well, in the old days, college classes were actually pretty tough, right? So Professor Thurman would assign his students books every class, and they had to read those books and come back the next day or the next class to discuss those books. So you're a millennial, so let me see if I can explain this to you. Books like this. Books, they have pages, you open them, they have ideas inside, you read the ideas, and the ideas get absorbed into your mind. I'm just kidding, but I have 3 millennials as children, and books and millennials, I'm not sure. But anyway, enough of the jokes. Dr. Thurman really is an obscure American figure, but the truth is, he was one of the great minds behind the civil rights movement in the 1960s. He was a great advocate of justice, equality, and nonviolence. And when you listen to the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I'll put some recordings down below in the notes, you can hear the values and the principles that Howard Thurman learned from his grandmother. And you can feel the burden of people who have to live under the yoke of injustice. So back to the original question. Should you pursue money or happiness? Well, Howard Thurman's answer to this question is really priceless. He said, look, don't worry about money. Don't worry about happiness. He offered a third choice. He said, find your inner voice and connect with your true self. And this is how he said it. He said, there is something in every one of you that listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have, and if you don't listen for it, you will all your life spend your days at the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. Until the millennial generation, we basically went along to get along. We did what our parents told us. We designed our lives around stereotypes, and we were eager to join the safety of large institutions like corporations and religious groups and governments. If you could get a corporate job, that was great, or a union job. You guys are different. See, if you can discover your life purpose, you are free to create your own future. But if you're not true to your inner self, and if you follow the path of expectations and stereotypes and institutional thinking, you're going to live your life at the ends of strings that somebody else is pulling. You have a real opportunity to be truly free in this world. You have infinite choice in your path in life. So what should you choose? Again, Howard Thurman. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. Don't look outside yourself for the answers to your own path in life. Look within. When you discover and embrace your true purpose, you come alive, and all the power in the universe will flow through you toward your purpose. The key to unlocking the full power of your mind, the key to unlocking the full power of the universe, the key to unleashing the full measure of your own potential is to find your life purpose and come alive in pursuit of that purpose. So, money or happiness, it's a false choice. But more than any group in history, you millennials are free to make a third choice and pursue your own vision. If you're interested in discovering your true self, if you're interested in building your self-awareness, well, to start out, just check out my happiness course. There are 6 elements of happiness, right? And guess what? Life purpose is number 5. Because if you can get all 6 of these elements of happiness lined up in your own life, you're going to have a deep sense of balance and meaning like you've never had before. I'll see you at the next video.